Welcome back into League of Our Own with myself, Goran, and the icon, Adam Blair. Blairy, great to see you, mate. We've got one round left of the regular season, and then it's NRL finals, baby. Looking forward to it?
Yeah, looking forward to it, Goran. It's great to see you, bro. And one round left, man, and finals are upon us. Excited. We continue to give this beautiful game of rugby league to the viewers, to the listeners. And man, we've got to give credit to ourselves too, man. We've done a pretty awesome job with what we've been able to do this year, from you being in New Zealand, me being here in Australia, and still being able to do what we do, man. It's been beautiful.
Yeah, the real MVP is your NutriBullet box that holds up your laptop, mate. So
I am still waiting for NutriBullet to hit us up. They haven't come back to us yet, but man, maybe I keep going.
Well, your wife mentioned them in the comment when we had the big reveal of our budget setups, and they wrote back. They just didn't stump up any money. So NutriBullet, come on, help us out. A couple of Kiwi lads doing the good thing for New Zealand Rugby League. The least you can do is get in behind us. And you know what? Like
something.
Maybe our luck is turning, because last week, and we'll talk more about this on Betcha, this happens a little bit later in the podcast, but we finally got one, mate. We went 8 from 8. And even though I had ridiculous picks like the Roosters beating the Storm and the Eels getting over the Warriors at Go Media Stadium, Mount Smart, we got there, mate. And there were a few heart palpitations or heart murmurs, whatever you want to call it, in the last game, because the Dolphins and the Titans, nobody wanted to defend. And finally, we got the result 36-30, and we got that return $36.06, mate. And so I think that sort of pays back all of the dollar bets that I've made along the way.
Pretty much 26 weeks, man, we've had a crack at this, and we finally get one in. Yeah, you pretty much get your dollars back after everything that you've done. So, man, I was excited for us. I think, I gave you a quick message to let you know to get the whip out.
Yeah.
I think it was 18-0. I think it was 18-0 at the stage.
Yeah.
And then the game just turned upside down, and it was a free-flowing, attacking class from both teams, and cool to get something at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think I said to you, it's up to little Neff, Cody Nikarima, to bring this one home. So maybe we split it with him. We take $18 and we'll send the $18 over to him. Thanks so much for bringing it home for us, Cody. But look, we'll talk more about that a little bit later on, as I say. First of all, it's a massive week for the New Zealand Warriors. They go to Brookvale Oval and try to jag a win against the Manly Sea Eagles, the early game on a Friday night. And let's just park Melbourne Storm versus Brisbane Broncos, because if the Broncos get the win there, the top 4 is an impossibility for the New Zealand side. But let's just say they've got to go there, they get the win to keep the dream alive, they beat the Manly Sea Eagles. We've seen the team, there's no Wayde Egan, Sam Healey is in the 9 jersey. Has Andrew Webster selected a team that can keep that top 4 dream alive against the Sea Eagles, Blairy?
I definitely think it's a safe team, Goran. It's a team that can get a job done, but I don't know if they're going to play that much football. And I guess you just want to get the win at the end of the day, and I just think they're going to find it tough to find points, I think, with the caliber of players that they have. If you look into their bench, and I'm saying this bench has been enormous for them, I reckon, but it's inexperienced. It's inexperienced, and this is a big game playing the Sea Eagles at home. Daly Cherry-Evans, last home game in front of his fans, a massive occasion, and the Warriors have to go over to Australia and try and get the job done. And if I look at their squad, the team hasn't changed too much, but the key people for me, Maire Martin and Wayde Egan, obviously not been available to this game due to injury, but Maire Martin finds himself sitting on the bench. I think if you're looking for points, if you're the Warriors and you want to try and win this game, you're going to have to go after it. You can't just be safe. And Maire Martin offers that for the Warriors. I think both Tanah Boyd and Chanel Harris-Tavita have done a good job, but not good enough to get the win last week. So have to try and find points to beat the Manly Sea Eagles. So in saying that, Goran, I reckon it's a safe team. I don't know if that team gets the job done.
Mate, we sound like a couple of broken records, don't we? Because we have been banging the drum for Te Maire for so long. Ever since Luke Metcalf went down with injury, and ever since even somebody like Phil Gould, the guy who put the air in the football all those years ago, when he went into bat for Te Maire and said, there is a guy within the Warriors ranks that can still lead them to a grand final, and it's TMM. And I think I've finally seen enough to know that the only way that the Warriors can progress deep into finals is by putting him in the halves. When he came on, and admittedly he's come on for Wayde Egan against the Eels, he had 28 minutes, and he was the energizer bunny that basically flowed through the rest of that team. They were 20 points to 4 down when he comes on at the 52-minute mark, and he damn near gets the win. He's the one who provides the spark for that backline that unleashes those X-Factor players like Chance, like Roger, like Adam Pompey. I think the decision should have been made, and it was, man. We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago when they faced the Bulldogs, and Andrew Webster said at the press conference, well, he's done enough in training and in games to justify his position in the halves. He takes the head knock. When he recovers, Webster's done a 180 and he's gone back with Tanah Boyd. And to your point, talking about the safety of the halves, well, you look across the NRL at pretty much every other team. Let's look at the teams that are doing well in this competition. They have at least one, sometimes two, X-Factor halves to unleash their backlines. You look at the Melbourne Storm. They bring back Jerome Hughes this week, which is awesome for Kiwi Rugby League fans and fans of the Storm. They've got Jerome Hughes and Cameron Munster, two absolute X-Factor halves. Penrith Panthers are obviously on the climb. They're on the rise, and the Warriors might face them week one of the finals if they're not careful. They've got Nathan Cleary, one of the best in the game, and Blaze Talangi, who is absolute X-Factor. He's a bit mercurial, he's rocks and diamonds, but he's X-Factor. There's no denying it. Roosters with Sam Walker. The Eels, who the Warriors just saw up close and personal, with Mitch Moses and Joash Papali, who's going to be their sixth probably next year. So there are X-Factor players riddled throughout the best teams in the NRL. And when you look at the Warriors, yes, they had Luke Metcalf, and he was absolute X-Factor. And he was right at the top of the tree when it came to the Daly M voting when he got injured. You've got a guy just like that in Te Maire. And instead of going down that path, he's gone with the two safe options. I think for the continuation of the Warriors in this competition, it could have started this Friday against the Manly Sea Eagles. There's still time. He could make the change. He could make the change, Blairy. I sincerely hope he does. But for their longevity in this competition this year, he's got to pull the trigger. He has to put Te Maire in. And then he has to make a very difficult decision. Who does he leave out? Do you go with Tanah Boyd, who's got the long kicking game, the accurate kicking game? Or do you go with Chanel Harris-Tavita, who is, I think, 9th in terms of try assists? He's pulled out 18 try assists this year. So make a difficult call, but definitely have an X-Factor half in your ranks for 80 minutes and give yourself a chance of making that top four.
Yeah, definitely, Goran. I can't agree any more than what you just said. I think when you look at the team, and I'm guessing the fans are going to talk about, we just got to get a win. So safe is good enough. Safe is good enough. But does safe get you to the top four, or does safe win you a competition? You know what I mean? So you just mentioned it, all these top teams, and you missed Ethan Strange from Canberra Raiders. Yeah. You've got all these top teams that you can give a ball at any time and they can make something happen. You've got a guy that sits on your bench who can make things happen, and we've seen it in the past. We've seen it in the past, what he can do with the ball, the skill that he has, the way he competes, and you put him on the bench. You're coming up against a hungry Seagulls team that don't want to finish where they are, and they're a slight chance, mathematically they're a chance. But they're going to want to finish on a high. So, when you talk about Tanah Boyd and his long kicking game, and I get it. Like it helps. It definitely does help. If you want to get into the game cycle, that's where they've gone. They've got someone that's going to kick to the corner. You got the big dog Rocco Berry going after it. You're going to jam them in the far deep corners and make the Seagulls come out of there. But can you do that for 80 minutes? And can you apply the pressure to the opposition that you can make or score enough points to win that game when it matters the most? And I just don't see that at the moment from the Warriors. And it was proven, last week against the Eels. If it wasn't for Leka Halasima and the things that he did, obviously the kicks had to be on point for him to score that try that he did. Brought them, gave them energy. But the energy around the middle of the park with Maire Martin played a big part in moving the ball to where it needed to get to. So safe for me doesn't get the job done. And, we can talk about the what-ifs and what's going to happen with the other teams. We'll get there. But I would love to see them play some footy and back themselves to go after this opposition, to build momentum leading into the finals. Because yes, they're in a position where, anyways, if they finish in the top four, perfect. If they don't, they're going to be fighting for their final spots up against, like you said, maybe a Penrith Panthers or a Roosters. But they're giving themselves a shot at playing finals football and haven't played finals football for a while now. So, they get there, they play this game, hopefully win it. If they don't, then they're at home and they're playing against a competitive other side.
Yeah. And earlier in the season, the Panthers went to Mount Smart Stadium and they didn't have their origin stars. And what was the result there? The Panthers walk away with a win. So I hate to think what might happen with a safe Warriors halves combination and a full-strength Panthers outfit. That's a really scary proposition. And you lose that first-up game, you're done for the season. So, Look, at least you put yourself in the top four. Anything can happen in Canberra against the Raiders. You just don't know. You go in there and look, you get the win against all odds, and then you're only one match away from a grand final appearance. Look, pop quiz for you. How many points have the Manly Seagulls scored in their last two games?
Oh, they would have scored, I reckon, 60.
Keep going north, mate. 2 shy of 100. And so...
the last two games?
Last two games, they've scored 98 points combined, right?
Jeez.
So the Warriors can't outscore the Manly Seagulls in that form with a safe halves pairing. I want to highlight their X-Factor half, Daly Cherry-Evans. Now, he's had his detractors this season. He was dropped from Origin, and obviously Tom Dearden came in and they win the series. And there's been so much said and written about Daly because he's leaving the club and does he have a contract with the Roosters and all that sort of stuff. But the last couple of weeks where they've been on this point-scoring spree, he's pulled out 8 try assists. And it's not just like the regular sort of stuff. He does out-of-the-box things that other people aren't thinking about. Case in point, 2 weeks ago against the Dolphins, they have a scrum on their own 30-metre line. Yep. He receives the ball and punts it downfield. Like, who else is thinking like that? And he can think like that because of his experience and just his general ability. But he's also got guys fast with pace, right? Yeah, fast wingers. On this occasion, it was Tolu Kola who races downfield and scores a try. So it's that kind of X factor and that kind of scary thinking that has me worried about this match on Friday night for the Warriors. Again, it's X factor versus that safe, and I don't like it. I don't think it matches up well. And with the Seagulls in this point-scoring form that they find themselves in, with Daly's last game and the emotion that comes with that and the environment that will be on Friday night at Brookie because of that, and with the potential for finals footy if results go their way, it's a really difficult proposition for the Warriors.
Well, they're not going to change the way they play the Manly Seagulls. If they've won games, the last 2 games, and scored 98 points, there is no other style of football that they're going to play against the Warriors. They are going to make the Warriors move, and they're going to play a style of football that you either gotta come with them, or you can see that you're not going to keep up, because they will test you, like you said. They will test you on your wings with their speed. Daly Cherry-Evans is a 350, I think he's 51 now, gamer that has a lot of knowledge in the game up against a team that is just safe, is just want to get a job done. I think they've got so much to play for, the Warriors, that I think they could have put a strong halving pairing together where they could go after this game. They shouldn't be safe. They should be thinking, let's go and get this. And yeah, you most really can say as well that they are thinking that. But I think, man, you can't go to Brookvale and play against the Seagulls after the last 2 weeks when they've scored 98 points and think just get through our sets and kick long, that's going to change the game and they're going to win that, because Daly Cherry-Evans can change the momentum on a dime. You put him in the corner, he's going to kick an early 40-20 and change the momentum. So they're a team that's dangerous on their day, and obviously results have said that the last couple of weeks. So they ain't going to play safe. They're going to play a style of football that tests the Warriors out all over the field. And if the Warriors think safe's going to get it done, they might have another story coming when they turn up to the Seagulls on when they play them.
And you'd know this. Brookvale is a pretty tough place to go and play a game of rugby league, isn't it? And I went back through a few records, and going back as far back as 2010, the Warriors have only played there 6 times. I think the Seagulls took a few home games to Perth through that stretch. But in 6 games at Brookvale Oval, Manly have won 5, and the only win in that stretch was back in 2020, and that was through COVID times when I think they only had like 1,300 people in attendance, because obviously they were separating people and all that sort of carry on.
Just to go there too, I think it was my last game at Gosford at the stadium there in the Central Coast, and we got a win. So I'll take that. I'll take that. Last game so long ago now, man.
Yeah, but look, it's a difficult place to go, and when you look at the way the Warriors are lined up, and I know Israel Dag is probably going to be raving about Sam Healey getting an opportunity in the 9, but I think you and I both know, not having Wayde Egan there with his deception, the subtlety around the ruck area, that's another massive exclusion for Andrew Webster's side this weekend.
Yeah, well, Sam Healey will be strong. Like, we've seen what he can bring to the team, but does he have the craft of Wayde Egan? Not yet. He's a strong defender because he's a bigger body. He loves to carry the ball. He loves to get out from dummy half. He loves beating defenders. It's a great attribute to have. But when you're close to the line, does he have the deception to bring middles onto the ball and to shoot the ball to the right person at the right time, under pressure, under fatigue? And time will tell. I don't think he's there yet, but he's definitely going to get there at some stage in his career. So, again, it's the safe option for them. They don't have another option, obviously, because Wade's out. He's your man, and he's going to have to step up big time. He's going to have to deliver the ball where it needs to be. He's going to have to be strong through the middle of the park. He's going to be tested out with some of the big forwards. Matt Lodge is going to be coming through the middle of the park, and he's got a bit of bad blood of the place as well. So he's going to be up for the game. There's no doubt that the Seagulls are going to be wanting to go out on a high, and as high as they can go with their points differential. And hopefully, if all things fall their way, they may sneak into it.
Now, look, I know that this sounds pretty negative Nelly when it comes to the Warriors, but the one thing that we need to remind ourselves of, and everybody else who's watching and listening, is that regardless of the result against the Seagulls and regardless of their final ladder position, this season has been a resounding success for the New Zealand Warriors. And that might sound a little bit strange as we've seen them drop down a few ladder positions over the last few weeks, but since 2011, when they last made a grand final, this will be only the 3rd time that they've made finals. So when you take into consideration what happened last year, all the players that have departed, Sean Johnson retired, Tohu Harris was an injury-enforced retirement, Adam Whanua Blake left, Dylan Walker left for the Eels. You've got Mitch Barnett and Luke Metcalf doing ACLs within a month of each other, and they've still made finals. Like it's been a really incredible run, I think you'd have to say. Turning a negative into a positive, Blairy. Look, they might be up against the Sea Eagles, but their final ladder position is a real success for me. How about you?
Yeah, definitely. It takes some consistency, not only with your performance, but players on the field to get to the position that they're in. They were with it. They were right up the top there at a stage this year, and obviously have fallen down a little bit. But for all those teams that sit in the top 8, even the ones competing for it, it takes a lot of, I guess, consistency in performance, individuals, to be able to get to where they are. So it's a reward. They're going to be playing finals football. They're going to be playing in September, which is where everyone wants to be playing. You work your butt off as an NRL player for most parts of for all of November, right up until your first trial, and it's the hardest thing you'll do. But to get the reward of playing finals football, to be consistent, to try and drive the standards, to try and drive your framework of what you're trying to deliver every week consistently on the field. And the reward is the top 8. The reward is the top 8. But again, when you think about it, that's you want to go after the big one. That's why you play the game. Everyone wants to play in the grand final. Everyone wants to play in the big dance. Everyone wants to win a ring. Not everyone gets there. Not everyone makes it. Not everyone gets a chance to play on grand final day. But they give themselves an opportunity to compete. That's the one thing that they've been able to do this year, is they're consistent with a lot of their performance, racked up all these good solid wins early that put them in this position that they're in, and then have just been battling away to try and hold as long as they can to play, September football. So I think it's a positive. It's a well-earned year, but it's not over yet.
No. There's at least 2 more games left for the New Zealand Warriors. And of all those people who have departed or been injured or whatever, one person I left out, and I chastised myself for it, the junkyard dog, Jazz Tavanga. And he has an opportunity this week as well for the Manly Sea Eagles. What can he do against his former club? And look, he was a big part of the Warriors for a long time as well. So, another guy who has departed from last season. Away from the Warriors, because I think we've spent a lot of time on them, I want to make mention of Kieran Foran, because this weekend, his illustrious, amazing career, we've got 17 years of it, and I feel as though it could have ended halfway through that period because of reasons we all are aware of now. But he plays his final NRL match against the Tigers this weekend, and he's been a Trojan for New Zealand Rugby League for almost 2 decades. And I think back to, it was a few weeks ago where the New Zealand Warriors played against the Gold Coast Titans, and the majority of the stadium were New Zealand Warriors fans. And my hope, my wish for this weekend is that those Gold Coast-based New Zealanders turn out in force for a true champion of New Zealand Rugby League to say farewell to Kieran, because it's what he absolutely deserves. So I sincerely hope that we see him again in a Kiwis jersey for the Pacific. You could probably tell us, mate, as he's on the radar, surely. But
without a doubt, man.
Yeah, but I'd love it. I'd absolutely love it if so many Kiwis can turn out for that final game and give him what he's owed, and pay respects to a wonderful career from a brilliant guy, mate.
Oh, he's definitely been on a crazy journey, a rugby league and life journey, which typically rugby league takes you on, man. And you could either go one path or you could go the other path, or many other paths on your journey in life, especially with rugby league. And you ride the highs and lows of everything every single day. although people may think it's all this glamorous life, he would have missed a lot of milestone moments of his families. But again, once you commit yourself to the game of rugby league, like he has, 17 years of putting his body on the line continuously, week in, week out, day in, day out, hour after hour, he has given so much to the game of rugby league. And like you said, I just hope all those Kiwi fans on the Gold Coast, which there is so many, which we saw in the Warriors over there, that they go and celebrate this awesome achievement that he's been able to do and play this beautiful game of rugby league. And there's no doubt in my mind he goes out there and leaves it all out on the field and goes after us this last game against the West Tigers. And yeah, what's to say we may see him in the black and white jersey, which would be crazy because we had the old Sean Johnson finish up footy and then jump into the black and white jersey. Maybe it's a fairy tale for Kieran Foran, but man, it was a pleasure, obviously, playing alongside him. Obviously, I know him personally and know about his journey and the person he is today and what he stands for and what he speaks about. But the way that he carried himself on the field, there is no one tougher in the halves, I reckon, that's done what he's done for 17 years and put his body on the line. So, man, it's a big day for Kieran, his family, and obviously from us, it's a huge congratulations on everything that he's achieved with the NRL and also internationally as well.
You mentioned Sean Johnson, and correct me if I'm wrong, his final NRL game, he pulled a win out of the fire against the Sharks, didn't he?
Yeah.
So who's to say that Kieran Foran can't do something similar against the Tigers this weekend and really go out on a positive in terms of his NRL career? And I'm sure he'll want to do great things, not only for himself, but also his great mate and mentor, Des Hasler, who's coaching his final game with the Gold Coast Titans. So, we talked about the emotion of the occasion at Brookvale Oval. It'll be there on the Goldie as well for not only Kieran, but also Des Hasler too. Staying in the halves and heading to Newcastle, Dylan Brown gets an opportunity in the 6 for the Eels against the Newcastle Knights this week. That's a really interesting dynamic. I feel as though it's almost like a doff of the cap from Jason Riles to Dylan to say, look, thanks so much for not only everything you've done for this club, but also your attitude throughout this period where I've said, look, we're going to start blooding other players. And he, not happily, but he sat down and said, okay, well, look, my future is elsewhere. It's with the Newcastle Knights. You do what you need to do. We've seen him play centre for, 2 or 3 games, but he gets a farewell match at Parramatta against his new team. How outrageous is that?
Yeah, it's, I think what you said, Goran, I think it's a little bit of a give back to him for what he's done for Parramatta over the years. Obviously, come over as a young kid, played through their juniors and stuff like that, and has done a lot of good things more than bad for the Parramatta and in those colours. So I think, the honour of the coach to give Dylan Brown the send-off in his own position where he can, we all know what Dylan Brown can do. And I just think it's a great gesture from the coach Riles to say, here, Dylan, your last farewell ride at home, Combank Stadium up against your team that you're going to, but being able to play in your position and go show everyone what you can do. I think that's what it is. It's, man, you're good, you're a great footballer, go out there and display that on the last game. And I'll tell you what, Goran, that's going to be a tough game for our Newcastle Knights. And obviously your Parramatta Eels, because they're playing some great footy. And I just want to see, obviously, both teams just go at it and have some fun, because both teams, in this grand scheme of things, aren't paying for much, but they're playing for personal pride. The Knights may be playing for a wooden spoon if the Titans beat the Tigers earlier on the weekend, and it could be everything on the line in this game. So, great for Dylan Brown. He gets to have one more run in his position for Parramatta, but it's going to be an interesting game, I think. Yeah,
well, an interesting week it's been for you at the Newcastle Knights. If you'd be so kind, And look, you've said it before, you're not in there day after day with the NRL first grade team, but as somebody who's involved in the Knights club, what has the last week been like with the announcement of Adam O'Brien's departure and so much uncertainty around the future? I've also seen articles written about Kalen Ponga, who committed to the club just a number of weeks ago, and now there's talk that he may want to walk away. So it sounds like a very combustible atmosphere, environment at Newcastle. What's it been like for you personally, and how are you and your mates actually getting through this period?
Goran, I think with every, decision made, it has an effect on whoever's involved, whether it's a small one, whether it's a big one, whether it's jobs lost, whether it's people moving on, it's always going to have effect on the wider club. Obviously, I'm a part of it, and no one wants to see people leave. But decisions are made, they stand by them, everyone's got to move on. It's like the game of rugby league. The game never stops giving. There's always something coming. And again, with anything, when you put yourself in the box seat as a coach, the job is based around results. And I think everyone knows that when they take the job. Everyone knows that when you take any job as a coach, that your job's always on the line every time they step out on the field and walk over their white line and put the performance. So it's been tough. Like, no doubt it's been tough for everyone involved. But at the same time, like I said earlier, there's always something to play for. And people have been doing it tough. I think when I look back through, I reckon 5-6 weeks ago, when the times I feel like seeing things started to turn a little bit for the club was when they had the golden point loss, or the loss to the Warriors, where they lost that one on, to Lecker's try.
Yeah.
And they were in it. They went through some tough periods through the week. Everyone's sick. And I just don't feel like they've bounced back from it. But in saying that, they've got an opportunity now. To go out there and go after this last game up against a club that's building something special, that's is putting in a framework that looks like everyone's starting to enjoy and buy into. But on the flip side, everyone always, no matter what happens at any club, you always have something to play for. And it's not like I'm foreign to this too, actually, Goran, because it happened to us when we were in our COVID times at the Warriors with Stephen Kearney. So you always feel sorry for a lot of people because you don't like seeing people lose their jobs, especially in rugby league, because you become a tight community. You're best mates with everyone. And when your mate loses a job or a mate has to go, you feel for them. But at the same time, we all know what we get ourselves into, whether we're a player, whether we're coaches. And sometimes these things happen. It's unfortunate. But it's been. You can't say it hasn't been tough for people inside the four walls, for sure.
Well, when Mooks left the Warriors, that would have had an extra bite for you, because you know him really well, given your time at the Melbourne Storm as well. So, it's not just a coach-player relationship. Like, you've known him for a bloody long time, and so that would have hurt. But look, I mean, at the end of the day, mate, I'm one of your good mates, and the people who watch and listen to this podcast are fans of yours, and you put yourself out there, and I think those people probably feel like they know you intimately as well. And we all just want to know that you're doing okay, because this kind of disruption can really have an impact on a lot of people. And so as somebody within the Pathways role of Newcastle Knights, we just want to make sure that you're doing okay, mate.
Man, if anyone knows Pathways, Goran, and this has all been a new thing to me. Man. It is unwavering every day. There's something going on. There is always something going on. You're always looking out for kids. You're always coaching kids. You're always trying to develop kids. You're always trying to be the best version of yourself, because if you're the best version of yourself, you're giving your best to every single kid out there. So you don't have time. You don't have time to sit down and wallow. You have to move forward. Pathways is a beast wherever you work when it comes to rugby league. And man, I'm awesome because I get to do what I love. I get to give back to the kids. I get to share my knowledge. I get to be out in the community. And man, if you live up in Newcastle, rugby league is crazy. People love it. And you would have saw this year with the Knights, although they weren't successful on the field, 23,000 people turning up week in, week out in the torrential rain at times and in the beautiful afternoons or evenings. Man, they love their rugby league up here. So, man, pathways just keep moving, man, and you don't have time just to sit there and complain. You've got to just be the best version of yourself. Head down, bum up, get the work done, man, and keep smiling.
Good way to be, mate. We're just happy that you're okay.
I'm good.
Yeah. And look, I'm going to put in a vote for Blake Green as head coach and Adam Blair as assistant.
Oh, geez,
for next
man.
season.
There's some big jobs. There's some big jobs, man.
Okay, Blairy, it's time again for Betcha This Happens. This time for round 27. Round 26 was our first and only time that we picked 8 from 8. And we take some real confidence, some real buoyancy into round 27. But then I'm staring at the first encounter and I'm at a loss to pick who wins. But yeah, I mean, look, we actually need to spend a little bit more time celebrating our achievement, don't we? Because that was hard earned. It was hard fought. There were weeks there where I thought, what on earth are we doing this for? We need to stop.
We were flipping coins. Coins. That's how bad we were. We were flipping coins. We got your wife to choose for us.
Yeah.
You could have got your kids as well and maybe done a better job, but we tried every avenue. Didn't work, and then finally we get one.
Yeah. So I guarantee we won't do as well this week. But it's time for Betcha This Happens for round 27. A difficult one up first. Brisbane Broncos, $2.35. Melbourne Storm, $1.62. Melbourne Storm have Jerome Hughes back. They've got 3/4 of their spine intact. Reece Walsh might be feeling a little bit crook after drinking from a toilet bowl the other day and then putting it up on social media. What did you think was going to happen, man?
Sometimes I just don't understand.
All of the time, I don't understand, especially when it comes to Reece Walsh. I'm going to go the Melbourne Storm to win that one, putting the money on the Storm, and that leaves the door ajar for the Warriors to make the top 4. However, that's the next game in our multi. Manly Seagulls paying $1.52. They are the favourite. The Warriors, $2.55. I think for all of what we said earlier about the Warriors' safe approach to their halves and the X factor and just the incredible experience that Daly Cherry-Evans brings to a very fast Manly Seagulls who are scoring a lot of points, I'm backing the Seagulls for that one. Am I wrong?
For everything that we said, I reckon it pretty much mirrors what we said.
Okay. And that means that the Warriors will be playing at home first week of the finals. We continue. Roosters paying $1.28 rather. South Sydney Rabbitohs $3.75 in the big derby there. I think it's got to be the Roosters for that one. Dragons, $4.25 against the Penrith Panthers, who bring everybody back in, $1.22. We're playing it safe with the Penny Panthers. The Foz Farewell, Gold Coast Titans, $2.05, and the Tigers, $1.78. They haven't factored in the Foz Farewell factor.
They haven't.
I think it's got to be a win for the Titans, which is bad news for your Knights. I'm sorry to say, mate.
Oh, that's not good, bro.
No, because that's the bottom of the table, right? The Titans get a win, and then what happens to the Knights?
Well, the Knights got to go after it.
I don't know if they can against the Eels. We'll get there eventually. The Dogs, this is going to be a classic game on a Saturday night. Dogs, $1.60. Sharks, $2.35.
Oh.
I reckon the Sharks have way too much strike for the Dogs. And
Me too.
bar for Preston's hat-trick, I didn't think the Dogs were overly convincing against the New South Wales Cup team that Ivan Cleary selected. So I'm going with the Sharks for this one.
Yep.
Dolphins, $1.26. Raiders, $3.90. Keep in mind that the Raiders have rested 10 players, so not as many as the Panthers last week. Do you reckon they're going to cop any grief over in Australia? None. Nothing at all.
None, because they won the minor premiership, so none.
Yeah, but the Penrith Panthers have won 4 straight titles, and they still copped a mountain of grief.
Yeah, they had 6 too many players rested.
So the perfect number is 10.
10.
16, way too many. 10
way
is okay.
Too many.
Yeah.
That's a starting team.
Yeah. Oh, crazy, mate. Yeah, so Dolphins, who I think might be about to welcome back Herbie Farnworth as well, will get on the Dolphins at $1.26. And then in the final game, it's the Eels, complete with Dylan Brown in the 6th jersey. They're paying $1.22. Newcastle Knights, $4.25.
Go get him, the Knights.
They won't. I hate to say it, mate, but the Eels are going to win this game, and it's going to be a fond farewell for Dylan Brown. And I don't know what he does in the post-game, whether he just wanders off to Newcastle and enjoys Mad Monday with them. Probably not.
I'll send the valet down there to pick him straight up.
Our 8-leg multi is paying $28.47.
Got more last week.
Yeah, I'll put $2 on this week because we've got the money. The money came through almost immediately. So that pays $56.95. When you use the Betcha app, make sure you use it responsibly. Gamble responsibly. R18. Blairy, we're done for another week, mate. Cannot wait for this week's round of games. I hope we're wrong about the New Zealand Warriors and they pull a rabbit out of the hat and slaughter the Manly Sea Eagles and surge into that top 4 spot. They obviously need results to go their way, but as we've seen this year, mate, anything is possible in season 2025 of the NRL.
Yep, always a pleasure, Goran. It's great to see you this time of the night as well, and can't wait for the weekend and September footy.
How good is it? Well, you would know, you've played it.